Good morning, stroke good afternoon when you will be watching this video. How are we all? It's Wednesday. England have qualified as group winners and we move on. I think everyone expected that. So my daily thought today is kind of off the back of yesterday's daily thought about Heung-min's son. Apparently there are a cult out there that the moment you mention Heung-min's son's name, they want to retort with something to do with Harry Kane. So here we are, just in the act of fairness. My question today, and this has been an ongoing debate amongst football fans for years and years and years, is Harry Kane world class? That's my question to you all. Is Harry Kane world class? So before I dive into it, please add your thoughts, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. And as always, thank you for your continued support. Let's break this down. And again, a lot of this is what I try to do is react off the back of the comments I get in my YouTube channel from the day before for fairness. So let's have a look at Harry Kane. First of all, let's call it as it is. The term world class means different things to different people. So we have to take that into account. I've been very critical of younger football fans. I don't mind admitting it, where I believe that they want to call everybody world class straight off the bat. Players need to have 3 or 4 good games and they are world class. Whereas I think a lot of the older generation are very much prove it. Prove you're world class. Don't just do it this year. Do it next year and the year after and the year after. Keep doing it. Whatever it is that you are meant to be doing. If it's a defender, keep being a defender that doesn't make mistakes. Keep being a defender that strikers hate playing against. If it's a goal scorer, keep scoring goals year in, year out. Do it in the big games, right? So we've got to put that in there first and foremost. It's a very difficult debate to have because everybody has a different terminology for it. Now, I get people, sorry, excuse the pug, he doesn't want to leave me today. I get lots of people that say, oh, well, Seva, if you're the top 5, if you're one of the top 5 players in your position in the world, then you are world class. I get that argument. I disagree with it because what if all 5 are not world class? What if there aren't 5 world class players in that position? For example, when I was growing up, and I mean, growing up, I grew up in the 80s, but in the first real proper era of football, where I could get involved with and I was playing and all that kind of stuff was the 90s. There were world-class strikers all over the place. Now, I'd struggle to name you 4 or 5. Lewandowski, Haaland, Mbappe. Right? After that, I start to struggle. Right? I won't put Kane in there because we're going to talk about Kane. So, let's break it down like this. Okay, Harry Kane, a phenomenal goal scorer. Harry Kane has over 300 goals for Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah, that's Premier League, that's Europa League, that's FA Cup, that's League Cup, whatever other friendlies he's played in, over 300 goals. That is not to be sniffed at. That is a phenomenal amount of goals. The first thing that's levelled at him, we'll break this down into patches. The first thing from fans that's levelled at him is, does he do it in the big games? Now, this is a difficult one because what I consider to be a big game might be very different to what my next door neighbour considers to be a big game. But let's break it down like this. In semi-finals, in finals, where has Harry Kane been? That's the question that people are asking. Again, before everyone has a go at me in the chat, I'm just asking questions here, right? You could break it down like that and say, I believe that of all the semis and finals that Harry Kane has played in, I believe he scored 2 penalties in semi-finals. Is that good? Well, you could say yes, because the pressure moment, the penalty in the pressure moment. But has he scored from open play in any of those finals and semis? No. Then brings the argument, well, what if the team didn't set him up? Were they creating chances for him? So it is a difficult one. But then the counter argument to that is, well, if the team had got to the semis and the finals, they were clearly good enough to win those games. So it's a very difficult argument. But that's a good point. Has he ever done it in huge, massive games? I'm not talking about North London derbies in the league. I'm talking about finals, semi-finals. Has he done it? Has he turned up? Just food for thought. Then we look at the other argument. One of the other arguments that's always leveled at him, not just him, any player. Has he won anything? Again, very difficult debate to have, isn't it? Because is Harry Kane winning something purely down to Harry Kane? You'd have to say no. It's not purely down to Harry Kane. It's attributed to Harry Kane. Could he have helped and scored more goals or done something in those semis and those finals to win things? Sure. But it's a team effort, isn't it? It's the whole team. So can we say a player's world class if they haven't won anything, but yet they've scored over 300 goals? They're about to be the country's all-time top goal scorer. Can we say they're world class? Difficult, isn't it? At the end of his career, what's levelled is what will be a successful career for Harry Kane. Some people say he just wants he just wants the Premier League top goal scorer. Sorry, ignore the dog. He just wants to be the Premier League top goal scorer and take that record from Harry Kane, from Alan Shearer. Okay. Does that make you world class? Makes you a world class finisher? Difficult one, isn't it? What if at the end of his career, he's sitting there and when he's on a Sky Sports panel or a BT Sport panel, whatever, you choose your broadcaster. If he turns around and it says at the bottom, Harry Kane, 500 Premier League appearances, so-and-so goals, and then there's nothing there, there's no trophies. But then you can level it and say, well, hang on, Mika Richards, for example, sits on the panel and it will say X amount of games for England, X amount of Premier League games, 1 Premier League trophy. Does that mean a player that's won a trophy is better than a player that hasn't? So there's lots of swings and roundabouts that come with this conversation, which is why I always find it difficult to call players world class because there's so many factors. Now we look at his all-round game. This is where I do think Harry Kane is world class because Harry Kane, his game is not just scoring goals. His game has evolved as he's got older. And kudos to him for that. Now, the reason I'm looking down right now is I'm just looking at the Premier League stats for Harry Kane. And since 2000, since 2014, which is his first full season. He played 10 games the year before, but in 2014, his first full season, 21 goals. The year after 25, the year after 29, the year after 30, the year after 17, but only played 28 games. He had an injury that year. Next year, the same, 18 and 29. The next year, now this was the Jose year. He got 23 goals in 35 games, but this is the difference now. This is where it kicked in. So he would have been 26 going on 27. This is where he got 14 assists. And then the next year, he got 10 Premier League assists. Has his game evolved? Has it changed? Yes, it has. So can you say a player's world class because not only is he finishing, not only are his goal scoring statistics brilliant, his creation, his playmaking has now turned into one of his strengths. Does that make you world class? A really tough debate this. And I know there's so many people who just want to call everyone world class. And I'll use the example I used yesterday. Bentancur is now being called world class. And for me, I just don't get it. I don't get it. He's a good player, for sure. But when we want to start calling players world class, at what point does that become clickbait? At what point does that become YouTubers and Instagrammers just wanting likes just because people are going, yeah, he is world class? Kulusevski I've seen being called world class. It's like, come on, guys. Players have to do it year in, year out, 3-4 years. Has Harry Kane done that? I think he has from a goal scoring perspective. I think he now is from a creation perspective. But we want to make everyone world class. Everyone, we want to be world class. Like I said yesterday, the reason I don't think Heung-min Son's world class. When I look at Heung-min Son's figures over the years, I don't think they're amazing. I think they're good. I don't think his all-round game is as good as Harry Kane's. Now, I'm not saying I think Harry Kane is out and out world class. I think he's on the brink. I think for me, there's that little gap. For me, I think he's on the brink of I wouldn't be adverse to him being called world class. I would be adverse to Heung-min Son being called world class. The reason I put them two in the bracket is they play in the same team. They get the same plaudits. You look at Mo Salah. Is Mo Salah world class? His numbers are frightening. But is his all-round game good enough? Again, so I'm not just picking on Spurs players here. Mo Salah's goals and assists in the last 4, 5, 6 years in the Premier League has been phenomenal. He's won things as well, but is his actual game good enough? I'll leave that for you guys to decide. Does your game need to be good enough if you're scoring 30, 35 goals a season? I'll leave that for you all to decide. And that's the beauty of football. It's the opinions. So I'll leave this with you. Is Harry Kane world class? And what does world class mean to you? There's no right or wrong answer. We can all debate it. And of course, when I say that, when someone comes back in the chat with something I disagree, I will disagree with them. And it's always respectfully. And I will say, I don't believe this or I believe that. But we've got to be careful that we don't get into a predicament where everyone's world class. And again, I use the Bentancur and Kulusevski. Guys, they've been here less than a year. Kulusevski's done really well. Bentancur does well against the poorer teams. I need to see that against the top teams. That's when the world-class players stand out because they do it against the big, big boys. They do it week in, week out, and they do it against the big boys. I'll leave that with you. Pleasure as always. Please like, please subscribe. We'll be back soon with some more content, and I will catch you on the flip side. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.